Story 1, Love, Doubt, and a Text Message. Am I overthinking Sandra's behavior, or is there something I'm missing? Part 1. It was a busy Friday at the firm and I'm ready to head out. I check my phone as soon as I am out expecting my girlfriend's text. Hey babe, I just got off work, I'll be at your place in a few hours, texted Sandra. I met Sandra almost a year ago at a dancing event in Los Angeles, California. Sandra is a 28-year-old 5 feet 8 inches light-skinned blonde with blue eyes and a slightly pointy nose with a ballerina's type body. She wears her hair in a ponytail most of the time. We hit it off really well after we met and we became exclusive after about 2 weeks of dating. Her personality is outgoing and very social. She loves to dance and she is very good at it. She works at a dance studio as an instructor to younger women. Alright babe, do you want me to get us some food or wine for tonight? I'm starving, I miss you, I text her along with a happy and sad face. Oh, I'm craving pasta from that place we like. She texts back. I make a few stops before I head home to get the pastas and wine. Once I'm home I carefully set up the table and ambience to have a nice relaxing dinner. I just want to talk about the day and let out some steam, then maybe just fall asleep on the big couch with my beautiful girlfriend while we watch a movie or listen to music and drink. She arrives and my little French bulldog is excited to see her as she's welcome in and out of my home at any time. She's wearing black tight leggings and yoga type attire. She greets my dog first, then gives me a kiss and a hug. Before anything, how are you doing and feeling? I ask. I'm good, it was a nice day at the studio, says Sandra. We begin to talk about the day and she gets comfortable. We have a nice little dinner and talk about our day. She has this quality of hers where she smirks while she talks. I feel she's a good listener and carries a conversation well, which is something I love about her. Once dinner is over I turn on some soft music and we make ourselves comfortable on the couch. I look right at her. You are so beautiful, Sandra. How did I get this lucky? I tell her as I start to snuggle her. She smiles and kisses me. We keep talking and just enjoying the moment. I don't feel like having sex, and I don't think she does either. My arm is around her stomach and we're spooning, just kind of soft talking and dozing off a little. My dog is also on the couch but she's on the far end. There's a moment where she gets up to go to the bathroom and she leaves her phone on the couch in the top corner. I feel her phone buzz and it looks like a number I don't recognize and it just says, "Let's hang out, where are you?" Probably one of her friends. I'm not too nosy but I know she has her social life besides her relationship. When she comes back she checks her phone and simply puts it back down on the couch face down. She doesn't say anything and we just relax once again. I feel pretty good knowing I have my beautiful girlfriend with me this weekend and everything should turn out all right. Hey, I promised my friend I'd help them out tomorrow, says Sandra. Oh, I thought we were going to spend some time together all weekend. I say. Yet it just suddenly sorta came up, I'll come back Sunday. She says. That's fine, go help your friends tomorrow, I tell her, disappointed and a little annoyed. Don't be upset baby, you know I love you and want to be here with you, she says. Sorry, I apologize, I am just tired. I shouldn't be selfish, do you need me to step in and help with anything? I ask. No, it's okay, my friend Trisha just needs help moving some stuff from her grandma's house, she says. Can I make you some breakfast in the morning before you head out at least? I ask. That's fine baby, she says. We head back to my room and fall asleep on my bed. The next morning we took a shower together. Seeing her beautiful limber physique in the shower gets me to want to make love to her. So I begin to kiss her neck and touch her soft breast from behind while I hold her close. Not today baby, I'm tired, maybe tomorrow, says Sandra. I let her go gently and just wash her backside with a sponge and she does the same to me. I love you, I tell her once she faces me with direct eye contact. I love you too baby, she says. We kiss each other gently and I get out of the shower and change first. As promised I begin to cook breakfast for her while she's getting ready. Baby, on second thought I have to go, says Sandra. Do you want to take some food with you? I told her. No, I'll just buy some coffee on the way out, she says. Disappointed I let her go but I try not to show it since she's understandably busy. Call me up later babe, hope it goes well. Oh. Let me know if you and Trisha need any help. I'm always available you know, I tell her. Sandra gives me a kiss and heads out. I look at my dog and tell her, who wants some extra bacon? My Frenchie jumps with joy, takes the bacon from my hand and devours it. It's just us again today, let's go walk at the park after breakfast, I tell my dog. She's thrilled to spend time as my faithful companion. Part 2. Later that day I texted my girlfriend, "Hey babe, how's it going over there? I haven't heard from you, just checking in." I don't get a response from her. Hopefully I am not being too nosy, but I miss her company. I like the way she strokes my hair when we are laying down. This is something I was looking forward to this weekend. I can't help but think I need to be patient. My phone buzzes and Sandra texts me back, "Hey sorry babe, I'll call you when I get home. Maybe we can make plans tomorrow." Maybe. Well, that probably means a no, I tell myself. I feel like a jerk for wanting her to myself. Sandra has an interesting talent in calming me down or others. She is into spiritual things and uses that to relax me. I feel calm and well around her. She has this aura where you feel everything will be fine. She's very social, but her tone is low, calm, and soft. She speaks a little slower so you understand her words correctly. Her touch is also soft. She will talk to me in a low voice and gently brush my hair and massage my shoulders. When it comes to sex, she's very open and likes me being dominant, which is different from her calm personality. I like to return the favor for all she does for me by massaging her feet, taking her out, and just in general trying to be a good man to her and supportive. I feel good about this relationship because I feel we understand each other. I spend Saturday relaxing on my own with my dog. I get a little bored and start scrolling online. Sometimes, but rarely, I'll check social media posts. Something that caught my attention was a post by her friend Trisha. How odd, I tell myself. It looks like Trisha posted a picture of herself out and about in a restaurant. Then again, maybe this is from a few days prior or my girlfriend and she decided to go out. To kill my curiosity, I googled this restaurant, but it seems it's up in San Francisco, around an 8-hour drive from where we are all from. My investigative nature kicks in and I get a sudden urge to call my girlfriend. I decide not to, but something seems off. I recall the message on her phone from someone who was asking her to hang out. I don't know this person or number, and I'm pretty good at remembering who her friends are. My instinct tells me to message a mutual friend to ask some questions about Trisha. There's probably an explanation to all of this, and now I feel like an insecure asshole. If she finds out I'm snooping around, she's not going to be happy. I hate having to hide these things, and I want to be as transparent as possible. I need to trust her, I tell myself. I text her after a few hours to check in. She's not texting me back anymore. I feel anxious, she should text me back. Fuck it, I'm asking our mutual friend about Trisha, something feels off. After a brief online conversation with one of our friends, it turns out Trisha is out of town. I feel uneasy, annoyed, and a little worried. Why would she lie to me? Now I'm upset. I grab my phone and call Sandra. She's still not answering me. I feel like I'm overreacting and there's an explanation to everything. She finally calls me back. "Hey sorry, I was still busy," she says. "Are you still out with Trisha?" I ask her as normally as possible. "Yeah, I'm just heading home now," she says. Someone is lying to me, but I decide to wait. "Come over tomorrow, I'd like to talk to you about something important," I tell her. "Tell me right now, baby," she says. "Nah, I think it's best you come over, it's just something I've been thinking about," I say. We argued a little bit, but I convinced her to come over tomorrow. I don't want to discuss anything over the phone or texts. I can't sleep in anticipation. I don't like where this is going. Part 3. It's Sunday and I'm up very early. I can't sleep in anticipation of confronting my girlfriend. I keep telling myself there must be an explanation and I need to chill the fuck out. Don't ruin this relationship, I tell myself. Keep calm and think before you speak. I spent the morning thinking of different ways to ask her about Trisha. I love my girlfriend very much and I strongly believe she does as well. There's no reason to freak out. She finally arrives and lets herself into the home. My dog is always as happy to see her and greets her. I don't hug or kiss her and she quickly gets nervous. Now I begin to notice her body language shifting and changing. Including her posture is a little more hunched than normal. This makes me uncomfortable because it begins to feel suspicious. If she was uncertain, she would be reaching out to me trying to ask what's wrong. Something is off, as if she knows I know something. Baby, what's going on? She asks nervously. Sandra, where were you yesterday? I ask calmly. What's this about? You have been drinking, haven't you? She snaps back. No, I haven't touched a drop, but I might later on, I tell her. I don't like the way you are talking to me right now, she says. Sandra, please, where were you yesterday? I ask calmly again. Now her eyes are making contact with my face, but she doesn't maintain close eye contact. Her feet are not facing me and one of her arms is crossed and the other is hanging down. She's definitely hiding something. I need to calm her down, otherwise this might get out of hand. Sandra, it's okay, let's just talk please, I calmly tell her. She's still very defensive, but I know I won't get any answers from a defensive person. Sandra, please, I love you. I need to know where you were yesterday, I told her calmly. I keep this question as the opener because she doesn't know if someone told me something or what I know. This is a highly uncomfortable scenario. I can feel the deep tension in the air. Sandra begins to cry. I feel like shit, but she doesn't answer my question. I don't feel like embracing her and this makes me feel very guilty. Now I begin to feel my heart breaking. It finally dawned on me that it's possible she's been with someone else. There really isn't another explanation and it's starting to really sink in, it hurts. I feel like breaking down and crying, but I don't. I bottle this emotion up because if it's true I don't want her to see how much this hurts. Sandra, please, is there someone else? I ask. She's not well and tears are running down her eyes, ruining her mascara. Sandra, you need to tell me the truth, be honest no matter how hard this is, I tell her, trying my best to hold my voice from cracking. She just nods her head yes and cries uncontrollably. I feel so confused and I'm not thinking straight. I refuse to let my emotions get carried away here, but it's so difficult. What could someone possibly give you that I couldn't? I yell out. Baby please, she says crying. There's nothing left for me to give you, was my love not enough? I tell her. She says something here but I can't remember what it is, it was mumbling like, but my mind is all over the place. We exchange a few more words here but it's become a blur. Please leave, I need you to go, I finally tell her. She ends up just taking off quickly, leaving my home forever. That night I drank and drank. I finally break down in tears. I feel betrayed and defeated. At one point the drink I'm holding in my hand I hope is my last, my little dog jumps onto my lap and I don't finish the drink. She does this when she wants to go to bed. She's just staring at me and giving me whimpering sounds. I pick her up in my drunken stupor and head to our room. I put her on the bed and I lay face down on my stomach. My dog lays half her body on top of me. During the night I dream of Sandra, she's asking me to dance with her, I need a dance partner tonight, she says flirtatiously. We dance, but then it's just her dancing and she dances so elegantly until she fades. The end. Story 2, caught my dad hitting on my friends. I should start this post by saying my dad cheated on my mom while she was pregnant with me, with my now stepmom, and they promptly got divorced shortly before I was born. I grew up with my mom many states away, and she met an amazing man she had a daughter with and we are all very close. My pops is a real good dude, he even bought a townhouse in the town I grew up in, and paid a mortgage on it to fly down with my stepmom, who I adore, and visit at least one weekend a month my entire childhood. As an adult I moved away from home and lived in a pretty touristy, resort mountain town, and my dad and stepmom were of retiring age and ended up buying a house here, and for the first time in 29 years of life, we all began living in the same place. It's been great, we have dinner together a lot and celebrate holidays and birthdays together and have felt like we've been able to make up for lost time. Since moving here, my dad has also begun helping a ton with my business and done lots of accounting work for it completely pro bono. Like I said, he's a really good guy. I found out a few weeks ago, though, that he's been soliciting friends and employees of mine for paid sexual encounters. Multiple friends and employees have come to me separately complaining about this. Given his history with my mom, I believed them. I talked to my therapist and thus confronted him, and he admitted to it. He said he thinks he has a sex addiction problem, and that after 34 years of marriage to my stepmom, she's 11 years older than him and in her upper 70s, that things had grown stale sexually. He also pleaded with me to keep my mouth shut. I of course told my birth mother, who just laughed and said, "What a dumbass." She has zero connection nor desire to talk to my stepmom and hasn't. Anyways, he and my stepmom own lots of real estate together, and their lives have been so financially intertwined for so long that a divorce would be ugly and financially ruin both of them. Not to mention, and I know this sounds selfish, but my stepbrother and I are the sole recipients of said real estate whenever the time comes, so this could affect our futures as well. So I don't want to ruin my dad. Nor my stepmom. Nor my stepbrother and I's futures, but if there's one thing I believe in, it's fidelity. Especially given how his cheating meant my tiny little mind growing up in a very confusing and difficult to understand situation that I just couldn't process as a little guy. I told my dad that no father should ever put his son in a situation like this, one where I have to keep a secret from my own stepmother who I love very much for the rest of her and my own days. It's sad. I don't know if I'm looking for advice. More just want to tell the story and hear people's thoughts and unique perspectives. And remind you that these HBO dramatic narratives do in fact often happen in real life. Story 3. I have slept with over 100 sex workers from 2014 to 2018. I, male, 35, have paid and slept with over 100 sex workers during a 4-year period. I'm not sure of the exact number, but I would hire one every week or two. I took breaks when I was dating, maybe 3 or 4 months a time. I reckon I spent 6 figures on this hobby, which includes the ladies' time, hotel, flights, fancy dinners, and one expensive trip to the Maldives. My first time, it was unbeknownst to me that my close friend, Carl, was generous enough to pay for a lady and never tell me. One night out with the boys, Carl disappears for a while and shows up back with 2 gorgeous girls. He quickly tells me the redhead is a tourist and doesn't speak much English. He also told me that he hyped me up to her, so she might be interested. We ended up in my place, and I was ecstatic for being back in the game. I found out the next morning when I asked her for a number and she gave me an agency and asked for I've mixed emotions. I was still thinking how much I enjoyed last night, but I was also not mad at Carl. Carl is a short, bald Englishman who had his ways with words. We became close friends in 2013 over how fucked up our childhood was, amongst other interests we shared. Carl could be out and pick up a girl from a group of her friends. He would match with a girl on Tinder in the AM, and sleep with her in the PM. He can slide into DMs and get away with sending dick pics. I was jealous of him. I wished I had his personality, so being around him was a no-brainer for me. At that point, I was the hottest girl I've slept with. Which tingled my curiosity on how much hotter can I really get. It wasn't even 48 hours after my first encounter with a sex worker that I started researching. I started looking at my local backpages, and boy was I overwhelmed. Hundreds of personalized ads, all bad grammar, too many requests to get verified, everything with plenty of proof that I will get scammed, or worse, stabbed. I almost gave up, but it was the beginning of an addiction. I could have stopped right there, but didn't. I loved the rush and I wanted to chase it. I ended up calling Ive, but sadly she wasn't available. I asked the lady on the phone if she can find me any girl. She told me to go to a massage parlor and then hung up on me. And that's exactly what I did. It took me a few months to find the right websites. I started traveling a lot, and almost in every country, I would hire a sex worker. Depending on the location, it would cost me, on average, anywhere between $200 to $600 for an encounter. I had a few that were $1,000 or so. I later got into the sugar daddy lifestyle. The difference was that sugar babies were not full-time sex workers. It was easier to be seen with them in public or travel with them. Money wasn't always an issue. I grew up upper middle class, so I like to think I'm blessed to have a good head start on life. I stopped because I got into deep depression, catalyzed by my drug-fueled sexcapades. I got married in 2019 to my wife. We were friends before that. She has no idea of my previous lifestyle. In fact, no one from my family and friends circle knows about it. Would I ever do it again? I sometimes do have the urges, but I never pursue. I don't plan on cheating on my wife, but I know I have deep issues that needs to be addressed. I'm no longer friends with Carl. We got into an argument when I found out he was cheating on his pregnant GF with a married woman. I haven't spoken to him since 2021. Last I heard he was involved with Somali gangs in London, selling white powder. Story 4, my first love cheated, super heartbreaking. I'm a 22-year-old male who never had contact with a female before graduation. I graduated in June 2022. Before that, I never had a female friend or interacted with one. I went to a boys' school, and in college, girls were made to sit separately. I never interacted with them, and my college became online in my second year, so I never had a chance either. I always wanted a girlfriend or wanted to be in a relationship or at least have some female friends. It all changed when I met a girl on my graduation day. My 2 friends and I were going out to eat after the ceremony. She was one of my friend's friends, so she tagged along with us. She was in her 3rd year, 1 year younger than us. I was super nervous and didn't really talk the whole time. After eating, I dropped everyone at their homes. Nothing happened that day. A few days later, I got a message on Instagram. It was her. I was super excited and really nervous because I didn't know how to have a conversation with a girl. I tried to stay calm and not say anything that would make her uncomfortable. We texted for a while, and then she decided that we should go on a date. So, I agreed. We met and had lunch, and I dropped her at her house. I didn't hug her or even touch her. I was super nervous. After the first date, we texted for some days and decided to go to a movie. We went to the movies. Nothing happened that day either. I didn't intend to hug or kiss her, but the inner me wanted to. I was fine with it. I really enjoyed being with her. It made me super happy and excited. It gave me butterflies. A few days went by, and we went on another date for coffee. There, she asked me if I wanted to kiss her. I got super nervous and nodded my head in excitement. She said she was never going to do that until marriage and was eagerly waiting for us to be married. I was completely okay with it. I was just happy to be with her. We went on many dates after that, almost daily. I would drop her home after college every day, and sometimes we would eat something on the way. A few days passed, and I got accepted by the university I had applied to for my master's degree. It was overseas. I told her, and she emotionally manipulated me into not going to the university. She fake cried and said, "I love you. You can't leave me." She said she would be graduating next year and that we both would go together to the same university. That was the first time she hugged me. I, being so stupid, agreed. Despite all my family telling me that I should go and not waste a year, they didn't know about my relationship. I gave them the reason that I wanted to develop some skills before going to the university for my master's degree. I was such an idiot to listen to her. I didn't go. All my friends went and are making progress now. She used me. I paid for everything every time we went out. I dropped her home every day from college. Every time she needed help, I helped her. I even helped her friends too. A few days passed, and I never checked her phone. I trusted her completely. I don't know why. One day, I just wanted to see her pictures, so I was going through her Snapchat memories, and I saw my eyes only. I knew her lock screen password, so I entered it, and it opened. There, I saw pictures of her with another guy, kissing and being naked. She had told me she never wanted to kiss because she was very religious. I couldn't even look at the pictures. My heart was completely broken. She went to get ice cream while I was in the car. I couldn't move or even say a word. I locked her phone and said, "You go by cab home." Then I came straight home. I was completely in shock. I couldn't walk. She had no idea I saw those pictures. I asked her friends, and they all laughed at me and said, "You didn't know." They all knew about us and how invested I was in this relationship. No one told me that she had a boyfriend. The more heartbreaking thing is that her boyfriend knew all about me. They all used me for everything and were probably making fun of me. A few days passed, and I confronted her. I asked, "Who's that guy?" She immediately started crying and said that I never trusted her and asked why I would check her phone. She said she was going to dump him and marry me and blamed it all on me. I don't know what to do. Was she telling the truth? I don't know. I'm at my lowest now. My appetite is gone. I can't sleep. I'm really depressed. I'm sharing this to lighten my heart. Story 5. I don't want my boyfriend talking to my coworker, because she's trying to flirt with him after I cut her off. Okay, some background info. A little over a year ago I started working at a medium-sized company. A month or two after, I started dating my now boyfriend. He is very attractive and gets a lot of attention from both men and women. Around the time we started dating, I also started to get closer with one of my coworkers, female, 20. Let's call her Sarah. We would take our lunch break at the same time, work on projects together, and occasionally hang out on the weekends with a few of the other members of our team. I started to bring my boyfriend around when our group would go out, and everyone eventually warmed up to him and we all became close. But Sarah would go on and on about how annoying she thought my boyfriend was, and it upset me because I really wanted them to like each other. Eventually she also warmed up to him, but then she started getting a little too close. She was always doing that stupid play-fighting thing with him, even though it was obvious he was very unamused. She'd go out of her way to try to third-wheel us or even wait until I had gone somewhere else to talk to him. She'd even gone as far as to try and ask him what kind of things turned him on while I wasn't around. Eventually she stopped acknowledging me when he was around and only focused on him. My boyfriend is aware that these things upset me and would try to put as much space between him and her as he could, but it was no use. She was relentless. Recently, she went on some company cruise that I didn't go on because I got seasick, and came back a few days ago. Neither me or my boyfriend have reached out to Sarah while she was gone, and I was pretty much done with being friends with her. Not just because of her odd behavior, but she has shown how self-absorbed and overly competitive she is. She didn't speak to me when she got back and I didn't speak to her. She did, however, try to talk to my boyfriend on several occasions and hug/touch him in some flirty way. The last time this happened was right in front of my face when he came to pick me up from work yesterday. I really want them to stop talking, but we're all in the same friend group and I don't know if I'm being petty or not. Edit. Some people are taking this the wrong way. I am not worried about him cheating, it just annoys me to know that this woman, who I used to be close with, has zero respect for our relationship and continues being inappropriate with her words and actions. Story 6. My wife went on a blind date. What the hell is going on? Part 1. I guess I should start off by just trying to give some background. I, Jerry, male, 46, am married to my high school sweetheart, Angela, female, 45. We have been together for 32 years. We have known each other since kindergarten at Upson Elementary. We started dating when we were in the 8th grade and have never stopped. I really take pride in that. I mean it, we have never had a break, it's not our second time around. We have legitimately been either boyfriend/girlfriend, engaged, or married, every day since we were 14 years old. We got married right after college. We were both 23 then. I went into accounting and got a good job with an accounting firm. I started my own firm when we moved to Rochester a few years later. My wife has been teaching either 3rd or 4th grade for the last 22 years. During that time we had 2 great kids. Our oldest daughter, Veronica 21, we had right away after we got married. We then had our son, Tom 19, 2 years later. We have lived a fairly normal American life. Entering this empty nest stage of our lives. Tom is a sophomore in college now and Veronica is a senior. They are both going to the University of Buffalo, which is nice because they are only an hour away. We are financially very well off. In fact, this hasn't been much of a stressor for us in over a decade, and we've got a nice chunk of savings built up. I should be able to retire in about 10 years and so should she. We kind of have the typical, tour the country in an RV, plan when we get there. For 32 years now we have supported each other. Sure, we have had a few bumps along the road, but nothing major, nothing serious. We both have maintained a decent fitness level. We are social, we are friends with several couples. Our bedroom life has diminished some with age, but it is by no means dead. That's basically it. That's our lives in a nutshell. That's why I can't make sense of what happened last night. Everything leading up to last night seemed normal. I have been recounting the last few weeks all day, and literally nothing sticks out. We both went to work yesterday. I got home about 5:45 p.m. When I got there I noticed that my wife was in the shower. Not her usual routine, but I didn't think anything of it. I went downstairs to get a start on dinner. I had picked up a couple of sirloins, so I fired up the grill. I figured some au gratin potatoes and asparagus would pair well. I went on making the full meal. When I was getting close to done I went back to let my wife know dinner was ready. As I entered our master bedroom my wife was sitting at her vanity. The room smelled good and I could tell she had put on her favorite perfume. I had heard the hair dryer earlier but I figured that was just routine. She was sitting there looking amazing. Her highlighted brown hair glowed. She had these curls that spiraled down towards the front of her face. I don't really know how to describe it, but she definitely put some effort into it. She was wearing nothing but this matching lacy bra and panty set. The bra really pushed up and showed her girls off. She was doing her makeup and I said to her, "Hey babe, dinner is ready." Is there something I missed? Do we have plans?" She didn't turn, just kept doing her makeup and said, "No, just me, I'm going on a blind date tonight." I laughed, thinking she was just being ridiculous. I said, "Okay," in a silly tone, and continued, "Well, dinner's ready, so come on down when you're done." I went back to the kitchen where I prepared us 2 plates and set them out on the dining room table. Since Angela was so dolled up, I decided I would go ahead and light a candle and pour us 2 glasses of wine. I had just taken a few bites when she came in. She was wearing a stunning black dress. Hair, makeup were completely done to the max. She looked incredibly sexy. She looked at her plate, then back to me, then lifted her small clutch purse. "I told you I was going on a date. You didn't need to make me a plate." I looked at her and said, "Stop already with that nonsense." She replied, "It's not nonsense, I'm going on a date, I'll be home in a few hours. You don't have to wait up." Then she just turned and left. I was still sitting there with my plate in front of me. Just kind of dumbstruck. Did she actually just leave to go on a date? After like 30 seconds I got up and walked over to the door, and her car was pulling out of the driveway. As she was driving away she spotted me and just gave a little wave. I went back into the house and grabbed my phone. We have had location sharing for several years now, so I followed her drive. She went to Red, which is one of our favorite places. She really did go on a date. I tried calling her 4 times and got no answer. Then I texted her. She finally responded when I said I was going to come down to the restaurant. She texted me, "Do not do that. I told you what I was doing, we can talk about this when I get home." I was totally mind blown. My lizard brain was saying go down there, but ultimately reason prevailed. I stewed in the house for a while, unsure of what to make of this. 2 hours ticked by and I knew the place closed soon. I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of thinking I just sat here waiting for her, so I went into the guest bedroom and laid down. It was about 75 minutes later that she walked in. I pretended to be asleep. I was really hurt by what she did. I can't believe she went on a date. My mind just kept having all these thoughts for what seemed like hours but wasn't. Who did she go on a date with? What did they do after? Then it just sort of hit me. I guess she is done with me. 32 years and this is it. We didn't even have a proper conversation. There haven't been any real issues in the last few years that she has brought to my attention, so I don't think I necessarily did anything wrong. I read a lot, so I know this kind of thing happens. I like reading the personal stories people tell. Sometimes people just fall out of love. I guess that's what happened to my wife. She just fell out of love with me. Not necessarily anyone's fault, but still really hard for me to accept. The worst thing is that she just decided to just move on. I don't know why I didn't get the courtesy to talk this out. Or why she didn't ask to separate first. Why did she just start dating? She should have just asked for a divorce first, then she could date all she wanted. I was tearing up a little when she came into the guest bedroom. "What are you doing in here?" I turned and just looked at her. I had managed to cut the tears off. She continued, "Come to bed." I paused for only a moment, then got up. I followed her into the bedroom. She asked me to unzip her and I did. I was just silent the whole time, totally confused about how to act or what to do. Finally, I asked, "Where did you go?" She said, "Red, it was really good. I probably should have stuck to 1 drink, but I did have 2. My heart sank. She was so flippant, so nonchalant about the whole thing. "Who did you meet?" She just answered, "His name is John Stanton. He is the cousin of my friend, Helen. She set us up." It was kind of awkward at first, being a blind date and all. We were meeting for the first time, so I didn't really know how to act. Plus, I have never been on an actual date before, so that was also weird. But Helen did good. He was very good looking and charming. I could not believe my ears. Who was this woman? "That place closes at 10, it's 11:30, where did you go after dinner?" She was removing her makeup at her vanity but kept answering, "Oh, nowhere, we just sat in his car and talked." There was physical pain in me I had never known before, yet I persisted, "Is that all you did in his car?" She had finished cleaning up and was now getting undressed. She progressed from her evening wear to completely naked to an old t-shirt and pajama pants as she said, "No, I mean mostly just talked. I was tipsy right after dinner so I was trying to sober up more so I could drive." We talked for like, I don't know, 40 minutes. He eventually kissed me and we made out a little. I was feeling more sober after a few minutes and called it a night. We are going to go out again next Friday, so don't make any plans for the both of us. At that point she laid down in the bed. I was just sitting at the foot of the bed completely shell-shocked. As I stared at the carpet, numb to the betrayal I was feeling, she said after a few seconds, "Are you going to lay down? It's pretty late." I was like a zombie. I dropped down to my usual boxer shorts only sleep attire and climbed in next to her. I don't know how long I just stared at the ceiling. I just kept staring even as she scooted back to me, pressing her back and butt against me in the familiar way we always sleep. My thoughts on how my wife was leaving me, how she was searching for a new man to replace me, and was just going to keep our marriage going until she found one. It was a cruel twist of fate. Still, I felt like she at least owed me some answers. I would get those the next day before I started packing my things. I got up this morning and my wife was still in bed. It wasn't long, by the time I got out of the bathroom, which was only a few minutes, she was up. She made the bed real quick, then took my place in the master bath while I headed downstairs. I sat down at the kitchen table. Wasn't doing anything, just staring. My wife came down not long after and made us a small breakfast. She was acting as though nothing was off. Like it was any old Saturday morning. She began making small talk about what we should get done today. I couldn't take it anymore. "Are we going to talk about last night?" She looked up at me and asked, "What would you like to know?" I had a very standoffish tone. "Why did you go on a blind date?" She didn't change her demeanor one bit. "Well, I know that's kinda crazy, seeing someone you've never met before, but I want to date. I have never dated, and I think it sounds fun." It was fun. I'm glad I got over my skepticism. I was stunned. There it was, she was auditioning my replacement. "So that's it. You're going to be going on blind dates. I have no say in this." She softened a little. "Hon, does that bother you? I didn't mean to make you worry." "I'm sorry, I don't have to do that. I'll stick to people I know and vet more going forward." "What about you? What are you going to do? You don't have to put yourself out there, you can do whatever. I know there are things you've always wanted to do. Just like I've always wanted to date." The fact that it was a blind date is the point. But I didn't say that. I was too out of it just hearing her. This is so easy for her. How? Of course there are things I want to do, but that doesn't mean I want to throw away my marriage to do them. She talked a little bit more after that last comment, but I can't remember any of it. She said some things about changes or dynamics or something. I really can't remember. It was like my brain shut down. My wife is dating, and I'm supposed to do what in the meantime? She is out trying to find her next husband, for some reason doesn't think she should divorce me first, which is just unbelievably selfish, and I'm supposed to scratch items off my bucket list until then. I don't know what I'm going to do. Live, I guess, and look for the next Mrs. Powell. Do I even want another Mrs. Powell? Honestly, my biggest debate at this point is what, if anything, do I tell the kids? Their parents are divorcing, their mother is looking for a new husband. I hope they won't take it too hard. Part 2. This has been a strange and challenging time. My wife has been dating John Stanton, who operates a power washing business, for the last month. At first it was just dinner dates. They went on like 4 of those. Then on this past Friday she told me she wasn't coming home, that she was staying with John overnight. When she got home yesterday around noon I asked what she did. She looked at me like I was crazy. "I spent the night at John's," she said in a confused tone. "Doing what?" I asked in an accusing tone. She looked around, still feigning confusion. "We had sex, twice." That was a dagger in the heart, I thought. Guess she found her man. I shook my head and walked away. She followed me and asked if something was wrong. I just said, "No, I know where I stand." She said in a matter-of-fact way, "I'm sorry you are feeling this way. It wasn't the first time, I kind of assumed you knew that. Do you need anything? It is normal to feel the way you are, so if you want to talk we can." Why would I want to talk about another guy sleeping with my wife? I just told her no and went about my day. This isn't the worst part though. She just left on another date today. With a different guy, but she literally told me yesterday that she was going back out with John next Friday. I can't make sense of any of this. If she didn't think John was the guy, why sleep with him on Friday, and plan another date with him? And I know this guy she went with today. It's flipping Dan Scott. I bought my last 2 vehicles from him. Those will be the last 2, I can tell you that. The most confusing thing is that she keeps treating me like she wants me to be her husband. Actually better, I won't lie, things may have been a little stale before. I never thought this would happen, we definitely still loved each other. Well, I thought we loved each other, she probably still loves me but isn't in love with me. It happens, I read about it all the time. Anyway, like I said, it had gotten a little stale. Yet we still had sex some and spent time together, but it was really routine. This past month she has been coming on to me pretty often. Like 4 or 5 times a week. I know she is out looking for a new husband and I should cut her off, but you know what? I don't care, the getting is good and I'm going to get. She also keeps asking me to do stuff with her. So we went to the theater together. She got tickets to a Bills game. I don't get it, she's acting like she was back when we were newlyweds. It's just really odd behavior. If you don't love a guy anymore, and want to be with other people, then why put so much effort into the relationship? She has to have some sort of ulterior motive here. I mean, I keep wondering why she won't just end our marriage. My guess is she wants me to, so that I look like the bad guy. Well, I'm not going to do that. Nor am I going to decline these invites and initiations she keeps making. 2 can play this game. And I have been playing it. I have been doing all the things I wanted to do. Not since that very first date she went on have I stayed at home and stewed in my own self-pity. I go out with friends. I've hit several bars in town, gone axe throwing. No, I'm not just sitting around waiting while she's out with these other guys. The only thing is, I am getting a little lonely while she's out. I didn't think I would be. But knowing she's out there looking for my replacement hurts, because I'm not looking for her replacement. I don't even really want to replace her. I just feel like I don't have a choice in this matter. She is dating. I guess I should do the same thing, but I have never been on a date in my life. You know, it was 8th grade with Angela. I passed her a note asking if she wanted to go out with me. She looked at me and nodded. We then exchanged phone numbers, which were home phone numbers. Sure, we went out together, but those weren't getting to know you dates. We already knew each other. I wouldn't even know how to act on a date, or what's protocol. I've never used a condom before, do I need one? Oh God, is she using condoms when she's out with John Stanton? Ugh, I can't think about that right now. I'm just not sure about any of this. But I know eventually she is going to drop me whenever she finds the right guy, so the clock is ticking here. I don't want to be left a bitter old man sitting around a 1-bedroom apartment waiting to die alone. Guess at some point I am going to have to put myself out there and see what modern women are into. Part 3. 6 months ago my wife decided she was going to start dating. It began on a blind date with a guy named John Stanton. It definitely did not end there. It doesn't even seem half the time like she is trying to find a new husband. Some of these guys she has been seeing she barely spends any time with at all. Dan Scott is a good example. She was going on a date with him that one Sunday, but she came back to the house like an hour later. I figured it just didn't work out, but now every few weeks on a Sunday, she will tell me she is going to see Dan, and then comes back like an hour later. How in the hell do you even build a rapport with someone in that short of a time? Not really my concern, just find it curious. She still keeps up this happy wife charade. I can't even tell you how many dates her and I have been on. I still accept almost every time unless it conflicts with plans I already have. I'm not giving up on this, she will break and leave before I do. Although it does get really difficult sometimes, especially when curiosity gets the best of me and I ask her about her plans or what she did while she was out. It's not even curiosity sometimes, it's just a habit. You ask a woman about herself every day for over 30 years, it just becomes second nature. She does not hold back. And believe me when I say ignorance is bliss. I will never get the mental image of some of the things she's done out of my head. Hell, I do not even begin to know the exact number of men she has been out with. But it has to be at least 10 men. Some of them are like 25 years old. How in the hell are you going to marry some guy that's only 3 years older than your own daughter? Speaking of the kids, they are still totally in the dark about our impending divorce. I can't bring myself to say anything. When they visit or are home for breaks, my wife ceases all extramarital activity and just spends time with the family. So at least they aren't asking any questions at this point or noticing anything out of the ordinary. I was going along pretty well for the first 4 months after this all started. I had joined a bowling league. I started going out with a couple of single guys from work. They have been a real blast. Yet, I really started to find myself feeling lonely. My wife, while putting in effort when she was home with me, was still going out 1 to 2 nights per week. I guess it started to show around this time because she recommended that I got on a dating app and find someone else for myself. That in itself hurt, because it was her blatantly saying she didn't want me anymore. She wanted me to be with someone else. She then sent me a link to an app. Field is what it was called. I went ahead and filled out all the information and got myself a profile. I didn't really know what to put, so I kept it pretty simple. This didn't get me anywhere, so then Angela got on it and filled in some more about me. That seemed to work because I got matched with a local woman almost right away. Her name is Sarah, 41. We started just by talking. It was intoxicating getting to know this woman. I hadn't felt this way in a really long time. We talked about everything. I told her about my job and my kids. We both really love the Buffalo Bills. It was just easy. She has worked as an esthetician for 20 years and has a huge client base. She has one son who is 17 years old and a high school senior. The only thing we don't talk about is past or current relationships. She was real clear early on that she was not interested in that, if I was dating other people as well. At the same time, she wouldn't be sharing anything with me about past relationships. I was completely fine with this. I mean, why would I date more than one person at a time anyway? You can't really determine if someone is the one if you are constantly throwing new people in the mix. That's something my wife could use a lesson in. Well, in the 6 weeks that Sarah and I have been together, we have done a lot of great stuff. Our Friday night dates are always the highlight of my week. Angela also seems to be happy for me, which is weird, but I guess it eases the guilt that I am finding my next spouse as well. Maybe she will even be inspired by Sarah and I to settle down and do this right. As of right now, I am still doing my dates and sleeping in the same bed with Angela, but I feel like that may change in the next few weeks as Sarah and I progress our relationship. In all, this isn't what I wanted or thought would happen. I thought Angela and I would be together forever. At least I know I can build a future with Sarah. Part 4. I have never been more embarrassed in my entire life than I was last tonight. I'll just start from the beginning. I have been dating this woman, Sarah, for about 9 months now. It has been going great. I spend at least one night a week with her. We also get the chance to meet for lunches and stuff like that pretty often. She usually comes to my house as my wife typically goes out or stays somewhere else 1 or 2 nights a week, so I try to match that with Sarah. We spend tons of time each day messaging. It has been a breath of fresh air these months after my wife decided she was leaving me. Which she still has not done, and still acts like we are a happy couple every day of the week. 3 weeks ago I sat my wife down and told her I was no longer willing to be intimate with her. Sarah and I had begun saying, "I love you," at this point. I just felt like I was cheating on Sarah now that we were obviously exclusive. Angela was hurt and told me so, even saying that this could put a strain on our marriage. That was the weirdest statement ever. What about our marriage? How was it not already strained by her auditioning a couple dozen other guys to replace me? Anyway, I put that past me. We still go out to dinner and stuff, but I now sleep in the guest bedroom. I did not tell Sarah any of this because she has that strict rule about no past or current relationships being brought up. Which seems overly specific to me, but I let it go. I made the mistake one time of bringing up Angela and she corrected me very quickly. It was over, but she was very assertive in that moment and I dare not press that again. I asked Sarah this past week if she would go on a weekend trip with me. She said she had to check a few things. She got back to me a few hours later with a resounding yes. I was very excited. I had booked a bed and breakfast about 3 hours away. I got us a reservation at a very nice local restaurant. The town was full of little stores and antique shops, which is something we are both interested in. We arrived Friday night and had a wonderful evening. Ate dinner at a nice bar and grill, then back to the room for a very intimate night. The next day we enjoyed the alone time until about midday. We ventured out and shopped for a few hours before heading back to the room to get cleaned up. What I didn't tell her is that I had a carriage ride booked for us to take us to the restaurant. Prior to this evening I had visited a lawyer and had divorce papers drawn up to serve to my wife. She will be served on Monday. After the carriage ride picked us up, which it appeared Sarah really enjoyed, I made my true intentions known. See, I am a 47-year-old man who knows he wants to share his life with someone. I shared with Sarah my thoughts and feelings about her, how much I love her, and how she makes me feel as a man. Then I told her that I wanted to spend my life with her, and pulled a beautiful diamond ring. I got on my knee in the carriage and asked her to marry me. I did not get the reaction I expected. She began to tear up, and said, "Why are you doing this?" I was as dumbfounded as I was that day Angela told me she was going on a blind date. She looked at me and said, "I have no desire to leave my marriage. I care about you and love you, but this was never going to be the outcome." I couldn't believe my ears. She was married. Why in the hell is she out here on a date with me, if she is already married? I looked at her, hurt in my eye. "You're married?" She was noticeably alarmed by my question. "Yes, how did you not know that? I mean, you're married too, right?" I didn't answer. I was too upset. I jumped down from the carriage ride, and honestly feel lucky I didn't hurt myself. I began walking back towards our room. The driver noticed and stopped. When I saw Sarah begin to get out, I picked up my pace. I had no desire to hear her out at this time. I noticed she got back in the carriage and was taken back to the room ahead of me. That was fine, whatever. When I got back she was trying to talk to me, but I just ignored her. We had ridden together, so I knew I couldn't just leave her here 3 hours from Rochester. I told her to pack her things and to please not speak to me. I needed to come down from this. She seemed very annoyed and confused, which I also found infuriating. This woman has been cheating on her husband with me for the past 9 months. That is just irreconcilable. I put my earpods that Veronica and Tom got me for Christmas in and refused to talk the entire drive back. When we arrived she said, "I'm in an open marriage, it was on my bio when you first messaged me." "So are you. Why are you acting like this?" I just said, "Communication styles aside, I haven't felt married to my spouse since she started looking for my replacement. I even have her being served divorce papers on Monday. I thought you were the one. I guess the joke's on me." At that point I drove off, headed back home. Sarah has not messaged me since. When I arrived at my house there was an unusual car in my driveway. I thought to myself, I cannot deal with this right now. I'm just going to go in and go to the spare bedroom. When I entered, I had hoped they were somewhere else, but no, Angela and this other couple were sitting in the living room drinking some wine. As I tried to just walk by, Angela called out to me, "Jerry, what are you doing here? Where's Sarah? I thought you had the big weekend planned." I looked over at her and her 2 guests. Thankfully the guy was dressed normal, but Angela and this other woman were both in lingerie. I just shook my head. Unfortunately I had a tear in my eye, and when she looked at me with such concern I broke down a little. There was an audible gasp as for the first time I let the pain in. She hugged me. The guests got up as to leave, but before they could it just came out, she was cheating on her husband. Angela took a step back, and we were unfortunately blocking the escape route of her 2 guests. Angela in a very confused tone, "What do you mean cheating? I thought she was in an open marriage just like us. I mean you 2 met on field." I pulled back and looked at her. She said the same thing. "What does our communication style matter? It doesn't matter how well you communicate, if you are just going to do whatever you want. Just like you asked me to be open, then like a month later you started dating that John guy, and it's only gotten worse since. So yeah, I agreed, but I haven't been telling you much since you decided you needed a new husband." Angela looked at me with a very concerned face and said slowly, "Jerry, what do you think an open marriage is?" I kind of looked at her guests that had shocked faces, then down at Angela as she had the most concern I had ever seen in her eyes. "It's just being open about your feelings and communicating." Angela stumbled back. "Jerry, an open marriage is when a couple agrees that dating other people and having sexual relationships with others is allowed, yet they still intend to stay married and be a committed couple." I looked at her blankly. Yet my mind exploded. What? Why would anyone agree to that? I was in a trance. That's what she has been doing this whole time. Finally I responded, "So, you haven't been looking for a new husband?" Angela, "Oh my God, Jerry, no, I love you. I don't want another husband. It was just that we had only ever known each other to any degree. I mean, we've been together since the 8th grade. I just thought we could both have some new experiences. I thought things were going great until a few weeks ago when you moved into the spare bedroom. I could not believe what I was hearing. This whole time, all the men, and I guess women, that she has slept with were all just for fun. There was this insane awkwardness in the room. We were still blocking the door for the other couple to be able to leave. The male half finally made a throat-clearing noise and we moved out of the way. The woman put on a coat and they both left. Then, much to my dismay, I could hear both of them loudly say in unison, "Oh my God." Angela and I spent the night talking. I remember when she asked for the open marriage. I really did think it just meant being honest. Thinking back now, it makes more sense when she brought it up, and when I agreed, she asked me about limitations, boundaries, and rules. Which I stupidly said, why would anyone need any of those things in an open marriage? All confident and sarcastic. I agreed to an open marriage for the last 13 months, and didn't even know what I had agreed to. I am a moron. I told Angela about the divorce papers and the proposal. She is pretty hurt by that, and we have both agreed to start couples counseling. Angela did ask me to move back into our bedroom and I did so last night. Which I am taking as a good sign that she wants to save our marriage as well and work past this. I also could use the therapy, as finding out that not only did your wife have sex with 19 other men, she also outdid you on sleeping with other women 2-1. It would have been 3-1 but I interrupted the party. I don't know. I just don't know anymore. Did the real world pass me by? I'm sitting here thinking, how could I not figure this out, in 13 months? Why didn't I just end things with Angela or at least speak up right away? I'm so conflicted. On one side I do feel betrayed by her, and I am angry about all that she did. At the same time though, I literally told her to go out and have fun. I agreed to all of this, and when it bothered me, I kept it to myself. I do have to say it did lead to some positives. We dated and had sex way more often. I also got to be with someone else, which I had always wondered about. I made some new friends and did things I probably wouldn't have otherwise. At the same time, my wife went off the deep end, and she never noticed or checked in with me. I made a fool of myself in front of Sarah, and that couple, who I don't even know. I wouldn't be surprised if the tale of the oblivious husband is all over the internet by now. I just hope my real name doesn't end up in there. I'll be calling tomorrow and stopping the serving of the divorce papers. I'll also send Sarah an apology and explanation. She deserves that much. I don't think I will try and rekindle things. Angela and I both agreed to stop the open marriage. I think we both want to see how much repair we can do before we make any decisions. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give a like, share it with someone, and subscribe for more stories that inspire, provoke, and connect us. Thank you.